She sat in the hospital corridor, a hollow shell of herself, unable to process the crushing weight of her father's sudden death. But as if that weren't enough, a second, even more agonizing trauma loomed over her. Her mother was currently in the ICU, locked in a desperate battle between life and death. Even in this massive, state-of-the-art New York hospital, Eva felt utterly alone, a stranger in a cold world. A moment later, she felt a soft, steady touch on her shoulder. She turned, and seeing Uncle Robert standing there, she collapsed into his arms, sobbing uncontrollably. "Uncle Robert, please save my mommy," she wailed, clinging to him like a frightened child. The nightmare had begun the previous night. Her parents had been involved in a horrific car accident on the Chicago highway. Her father, David, had been killed instantly at the scene. Her mother, Sarah, was still clinging to life by a thread, but the doctors had been grim, telling the family that, at this point, only a miracle could save her. In this dark hour, Eva had no one left to turn to except Uncle Robert. A short while later, a doctor approached them with an update. "The patient is conscious. You may go in and see her." A flicker of hope ignited in Eva's heart. Gasping through her tears, she ran to her mother's side. Entering the ICU, she grabbed Sarah's hand, her voice trembling. "Mommy, please get better soon. Please don't leave me. Your Eva can't live without you." Watching this, Robert felt a sharp pang of grief in his chest. He couldn't bear to see his sister Sarah like this, hooked up to a labyrinth of machines, her body broken. His niece Eva was 25 years old, yet in her mother's presence, she was still that vulnerable 10-year-old girl. "Eva, I'll be fine," her mother whispered, a low groan of pain escaping her lips. Her face and body were covered in bruises and lacerations. She was almost unrecognizable, a sight that would break the hardest of hearts. The doctors soon stepped in, advising them to keep the conversation brief. They warned that the patient shouldn't be subjected to any stress and needed to remain in a calm environment. Moments later, Sarah beckoned Robert closer. "Robert, brother, I need to tell you something," she panted, her breath hitching. "Robert, take care of my Eva." She paused frequently, her breathing becoming increasingly labored. "Don't talk like that," Robert reassured her, his voice thick with emotion. "You're going to be just fine." "Robert," she pleaded, her eyes filling with tears as she folded her hands in a desperate gesture. "I want you to take Eva as your daughter-in-law. Make her Jackson's bride. I want to leave her in safe, responsible hands before I go. Please, do this for me. Keep my honor." Robert felt a wave of shame. "You're embarrassing me by asking. Eva is my own daughter. Don't worry about a thing. I will speak to Jackson and arrange their marriage immediately." Sarah shook her head weakly. "No, Robert. I want to see it happen now. I want her to become Jackson's wife while I can still see it with my own eyes. Her father didn't get to see her future. I want to see my daughter off myself." Moments later, Robert called his son, Jackson. Jackson was confused and irritated. He knew Aunt Sarah was in bad shape, but he couldn't understand the urgency. He had been out of town for a major business deal, but he dropped everything and reached the hospital within 2 hours. When Jackson arrived, Robert immediately pulled him aside. "Jackson, I need to talk to you about something incredibly important." "Dad, what could be so urgent?" Jackson snapped. "Do you have any idea what kind of meeting I just walked out of? You called this an emergency. What about my project?" "Jackson, relationships are more important than money. You should know that by now." "I know Aunt Sarah is sick, Dad, but you sounded so frantic on the phone that you scared me. You know there are millions on the line with this project, right?" "Jackson, I don't care about the money right now, and I don't have time for these trivial complaints. I need you to call a legal witness and an official here immediately." Jackson's brow furrowed in suspicion. "Dad, why do we need a legal witness? Are you getting married again? For God's sake, are you bringing a second wife home to Mom at your age?" "Shut up, Jackson. I'm not talking about my marriage. I'm talking about yours." "Dad, you know Madison is out of the country right now. How could I possibly get married?" "Jackson, don't push me. Just do as I say." "Dad, tell me the truth. What are you hiding?" "Jackson, I want you to marry Eva. Your aunt's condition is critical, and I want my sister to die in peace. She wants to leave her daughter in strong, capable hands." "I'm sorry, Dad, but I'm not going to be the sacrificial lamb for your sister's final moments. If you want Eva taken care of, marry her off to someone else. I am absolutely not marrying her. You know how much I love Madison. If I marry anyone, it will be her. Jackson, listen to me. You will do this. I'm not listening to a word you say, Dad. You know how stubborn I am. Fine, Jackson. Go ahead. Do whatever you want, Robert said, his voice dropping to a dangerous, icy tone. But remember, I'm your father, and you know I'm just as stubborn as you. If you don't marry Ava and accept her as your wife, I will disinherit you. I won't give you a single cent. You'll be kicked out of the family business permanently. Dad, what are you saying? You know how hard I've worked for that business. I've given it my blood, sweat, and tears. Then I guess all that work was for nothing. Go. I'm disowning you. Don't show me your face again, and don't you dare step foot in that mansion. Dad, I never expected this from you. And I never expected this from you. Dad, without Madison, To hell with Madison. I've never liked that girl from day one. I only let the engagement happen because of your stubbornness. But now, I want Eva to be the daughter-in-law of this house, and that is exactly what is going to happen. Backed into a corner, Jackson had no choice. After a few moments of tense silence, he somehow managed to arrange for the legal witnesses and the marriage ceremony. In the presence of Robert's dying sister, Eva and Jackson were officially married. But life didn't grant Sarah any more time. Just as the final prayers were being said, Eva's mother breathed her last. Eva collapsed over her mother's body, screaming and crying like a lost child. Jackson, standing nearby, felt nothing but simmering rage toward Eva. Looking at her, he felt like strangling her. He wanted to bury her right alongside her mother. But he suppressed his emotions. He wasn't about to throw away years of hard work over a moment of temper. After her mother's funeral, Eva was completely broken. Both of her parents were gone. After spending a few somber days at her old home, she moved into Robert and Jackson's palatial mansion. Upon arrival, Robert introduced Eva to everyone, announcing that she was Jackson's wife and the new daughter-in-law of the house. Susan, Robert's wife, who had harbored a deep-seated hatred for Eva's mother Sarah, felt that hatred erupt like a volcano. "She cannot be my daughter-in-law. I will never accept her," Susan shrieked. "Robert, what have you done? Do you have any idea whose daughter you've shackled to my Jackson? I will never accept Nancy's daughter. I can never forget the moment my young brother Paul committed suicide because of her mother. I won't have her here. Get out." Susan began physically shoving Eva toward the door. Jackson watched coldly before turning and walking to his room, indifferent to the chaos. He had married Eva solely for the inheritance. He didn't care how anyone treated her. But in the next instant, Robert's hand snapped out, stopping Susan. "Susan! Control yourself and your tongue. If you say another word to Eva, you'll have me to deal with. She is my daughter, she is my daughter-in-law, and she is staying in this house." Robert called for a maid and ordered her to take Eva's luggage to Jackson's room. The maid stood there, stunned, wondering when this marriage had even happened. But such was fate. A moment later, Chloe, Jackson's younger sister, emerged from her room. "So, what is Madame Eva doing here?" Chloe had always looked at Eva with spite whenever their families met at functions. Eva was naturally more beautiful and radiant, and Chloe had been consumed by jealousy for years. The maid led Eva to Jackson's room and left. Eva sat quietly on the sofa, staring blankly at her surroundings. Jackson stepped out of the shower, drying his hair. "You? What are you doing in my room? Get out. This is my room and mine alone. Get that through your head. I love someone else. Madison is my life, my everything. Remember one thing. We might be married on paper, but this relationship is a sham. You will never take the place of my wife. I only married you out of necessity. Otherwise, I wouldn't even look at a girl like you." Eva listened in silence. Life had already dealt her so many blows that his harsh words barely registered. She was already bracing herself for whatever came next. "What are you staring at? I said get out." "Where am I supposed to go?" she asked softly. "I don't care. Go to hell for all I care. It's nothing to me." "But Uncle Robert said—" "Uncle Robert what? Do you know how your mother manipulated him on her deathbed to saddle me with you? Honestly, couldn't you have found some guy of your own status to marry? Did you have to make me the sacrificial lamb?" Eva remained seated, her eyes cast downward. "Fine. You're incredibly stubborn. Nothing I say gets through to you. I'll leave the room myself. Fuming, Jackson stormed out. When he reached the lounge, he found Susan sitting there crying. "Mom, what's wrong?" "Jackson, your father hit me because of that girl. Doesn't that mean anything to you?" "What? Dad hit you?" "I will not tolerate that girl. Her cursed mother sent my brother to his grave. I will never forgive her." "Mom, I had to marry her, but don't worry. I will never treat her like a wife. You know about Madison. I'll bring Madison in as my real partner and humiliate Eva so badly that she'll beg Dad to let her leave. Don't cry. I'll make her pay for every tear you've shed." "Jackson, I can't stand her in this house. If you're my son, get her out. Kick her out right now." "I can't do that yet, Mom. You know the threats Dad made to force this marriage. It's just a game for a few days. You'll see. She'll get tired of it and leave on her own. Just trust me." "Fine, Jackson. But don't disappoint your mother. I can never get over the shock of your Uncle Paul's death. Every time I look at that girl, I see her mother, and my blood boils." "I told you, Mom. Just trust me." Eva sat in the room for a long time, lost in thought. Eventually, she got up and began organizing Jackson's clothes in the wardrobe, hanging her own things on one side. She hadn't eaten in 2 days and was exhausted. Choosing sleep over hunger, she lay down and immediately drifted off. Around 1 in the morning, Jackson entered the room. Seeing her sleeping peacefully on his bed sent him into a fresh fit of rage. "You! Who told you that you could sleep here? How dare you?" He grabbed Eva by the wrist and yanked her out of bed. "Get out of my room." "Where will I go?" "I don't care. Sleep wherever you want, but you are not sleeping in this room." He shoved her out and slammed the door. Disoriented and exhausted, Eva curled up on the sofa in the lounge. Despite the discomfort, she fell into a deep sleep, unaware that this would be her last moment of peace for a long time. She was jolted awake by Susan screaming at her. "How dare you sleep here? This is my house, not some cheap motel. Get up!" Susan shook her violently. Eva opened her eyes, her vision blurred. "Auntie, I don't feel well." "I don't care how you feel." Susan hauled her off the sofa and shoved her. Eva stumbled and her forehead slammed into the sharp edge of a nearby table. She didn't even cry. She touched her forehead and looked at her hand. It was covered in blood. She simply stared at Susan with a hollow, haunted look. Just then, Robert walked into the lounge. "What is all this noise?" Susan's demeanor changed instantly. "Oh, she was sleeping on the floor, so I tried to wake her up. I think she got dizzy and fell. Chloe, go help your sister-in-law back to her room." She put on an act of concern for her husband's benefit. "Susan, I know every move you make. Don't play nice with me. What did you do to this child?" "I didn't do anything." Chloe led Eva away, but as soon as they reached the hallway, she shoved Eva into the room and left. Eva went back into Jackson's room, knowing full well how cruelly he had kicked her out earlier. It seemed her fate was simply to be pushed from one corner to another. Now that her parents were gone, the world saw her as an orphan to be trampled upon. She sat on the sofa again, pressing her scarf against her forehead to staunch the bleeding. A while later, Jackson stepped out of the bathroom. His gaze was cold, but Eva ignored him. When he opened the wardrobe to get dressed and saw Eva's clothes hanging there, he lost it. "What is this? This is my wardrobe. How dare you put your things in here?" He began ripping her clothes off the hangers and tossing them onto the floor. Eva still didn't cry. She just watched him. "No matter how much I humiliate you, you just don't get it, do you? Leave me alone. Get out of my life. I love someone else. I will never accept you as my wife. You are the most thick-skinned person I've ever met." He hurled insults at her in a single breath, completely ignoring the blood matted in her hair. "Why don't you say something? Are you mute? Don't you have a tongue in your head?" Her silence only infuriated him more. Since she had arrived, he had done nothing but berate her, and she had just taken it. Jackson shook his head in disgust, grabbed his clothes, and walked out. Once she was alone, Eva finally broke down. She sobbed, clutching her head and pulling at her hair. "Mommy, why did you leave me? Why didn't you take me with you? I wish I had died. I wish I hadn't survived that crash without a single scratch." After her breakdown, she gathered her scattered clothes and packed them neatly back into her bag. She freshened up in the shower and found a first aid kit, crying as she treated the wound on her forehead. She had no one, no siblings, no friends. She was utterly alone. Driven by intense hunger, she headed to the kitchen, unaware that Susan was lying in wait. "I'm hungry," Eva said innocently. "I haven't eaten since yesterday." "Then eat, dear. Are we stopping you?" Susan sneered. "Maria, take that leftover food from last night, the stuff you kept for yourself, heat it up and give it to her. Actually, just throw it in front of her. She can heat it herself." Maria, the maid, looked back and forth between Eva and Susan. "But ma'am, that's my food." "If it's your food, then consider her your equal. She's like a sister to you. Give her the food." With that, Susan swanned out of the kitchen. Maria looked at Eva with pity. "What would you like for breakfast? I'll make you something." "Just give me what she said," Eva replied quietly. "Listen, Eva, I can't give you that. It's just a little bit I was going to take home to my kids. Let me make you what you like. What do you want?" "Just a cup of coffee and whatever is easy." Maria quickly made some pancakes and fried an egg, placing them on a tray. But as Eva was about to eat, Chloe walked in. "You servants never learn, do you? Didn't my mother say to give her the stale leftovers?" Maria looked at Chloe, then at Eva. "She's not eating this egg." Chloe picked up the plate and dumped it in the trash. "And your place isn't at the dining table. Sit on the floor." She was venting years of pent-up spite. "I said, sit on the floor." Eva sat down without a word. Chloe then took the coffee mug and poured it down the sink. "You don't get coffee either. Here's some water. Soak a piece of bread in it. That's your meal." She smirked and walked out. Eva looked at Maria. "Is there any sauce or some pickles?" she asked quietly. "Eva, let me make you another egg. I don't know why they are doing this to you." "No, just give me a little pickle. I'll eat it." She remembered how her mother used to make her favorite things for breakfast. Maria gave her some pickles, and Eva ate the dry bread with water. She craved coffee desperately, but her reality was becoming a living nightmare. "Jackson, what am I hearing? You got married? I'm taking the first flight back tomorrow. You're cheating on me!" Madison screamed over the phone. "Madison, honey, my life. It's not like that. You've got it all wrong." "Wrong, my foot! You're betraying me, Jackson. I never expected this from you." "Madison, listen. I had to marry her for the sake of the business and the inheritance, but believe me, I will never treat her like a wife. I don't even like her. You have to believe me." "I don't want to hear it. You're a cheater, a liar. You're playing with my feelings," she sobbed, pounding her fists against his chest when she finally returned and met him. Jackson pulled her into a tight embrace. "It's not like that, Madison. Please don't cry. It kills me to see you like this." "It kills you? I'm the one hurting, Jackson. How could you even think of marrying someone else? Didn't you think of me for even a second?" "Madison, if I hadn't married her, I would have lost everything. The property, the cars, the bank accounts. Dad would have stripped it all away. I only did it for us. I have zero interest in that girl." "Interest can grow, Jackson. She's living in your house. Think about the nights you're spending together." "No, Madison, it's nothing like that. Don't worry. I won't be at peace as long as that snake is in your house. Aunt Susan and Chloe told me everything, and I came as fast as I could." "Forget about her. Let's go out to dinner tonight. It'll cheer you up, and then we'll catch a movie," Jackson said smoothly. "Okay, Jackson, but don't you dare cheat on me. I have no one but you," she said coquettishly. Jackson squeezed her gently. "Madison, you are my life. Don't ever think I'd betray you. I only married that cursed girl because of Dad's decision. I'll find a solution soon. Once I have everything in my name, I'll get rid of her. I'm thinking we'll settle in California and get married there. She can stay here and be a servant for my parents for all I care." Eva spent the day listening to the family's whispers and insults, remaining entirely silent. Only Maria showed her any kindness, but Eva had no one to truly share her pain with. She began throwing herself into housework, hoping that staying busy would bring her some peace. She didn't know much about cleaning, but she tried. After finishing her chores, she turned on her phone for the first time in days, wanting to talk to her friends. But even that was too much to ask for. Chloe appeared instantly. "Oh, look at the princess using her phone. It's quite an expensive model too. An iPhone? Do you even have an iPhone face? Give it here." "Give me my phone back," Eva said, speaking up for the first time. "Oh? You want your phone?" Chloe laughed mockingly, and in the next heartbeat she slammed the phone against the wall with all her might. The phone shattered into pieces. It felt as though Eva's heart shattered along with it. That phone was her only link to the outside world, and now that too was gone. "You look better when you're crying, Ava," Chloe sneered before walking away. Ava silently rubbed her eyes, trying to keep the tears at bay. Reluctantly, she had to return to Jackson's room, but she was relieved to find that it was 3 a.m. and he wasn't back yet. She lay down on a corner of the bed and fell asleep. "Thank you, Jackson. Thank you so much. I had such a wonderful day with you. I wish we could stay together right now," Madison said, leaning against him in the car. "Madison, I want that too, but I have to go home." "Are you going back to that witch?" she pouted. "I'm going to my house, not to her." "But how can I be at peace? She'll be near you." "Forget her. Just focus on us. In a few days, I'm planning to move abroad permanently for business. I'll send for you once I'm settled." "Good idea. At least you'll be rid of that nightmare." "That's the plan. The further I am from her, the better. Every time I get near her, I just get angry. I feel like killing her. I'm only holding back because of Dad. Otherwise, I'd make her life a living hell. Anyway, see you later." He dropped her off and drove home. Exhausted, Jackson entered his room, desperate for sleep. When he saw Ava in his bed, he roared in anger. Ava jumped up, terrified. "You're sleeping here again?" But today, Ava started crying. "Please, I don't want to sleep outside. I won't bother you. I'll sleep on the floor." "Fine, sleep on the floor, but don't you ever get in my bed again." Ava placed a pillow on the floor, covered herself with a blanket, and went to sleep. When Jackson woke up the next morning, his heart softened for a fleeting moment. As he looked at her sleeping on the floor, the light caught her hair, and her face looked incredibly innocent. He slowly pulled back his own blanket, sat down beside her, and gently brushed her eyelashes. She was breathtakingly beautiful. His heart ached to touch her again. When he did, Eva sat up with a start. Jackson froze, staring into her eyes. "Jackson." Eva's name escaped his lips, though he wasn't sure why. "Yes?" she whispered, her breath hitching. "You're so beautiful." For a moment he seemed lost, but in the next instant, reality crashed back in. He grabbed her by the hair. "Stay away from me. Stay away. I'm losing my mind because of you. Just stay away. Let me go. You're hurting me. Please." He shoved her away and locked himself in the bathroom. He stood under the shower for a long time. Eva sat on the floor, weeping at her helplessness. When Jackson finally emerged, she was gone, much to his relief. His heart was screaming at him to pull her close, but he wasn't ready to face those feelings. Ava wanted to avoid Jackson at all costs, so she went out to the garden early that morning. The cool breeze felt good against her skin. When Jackson pulled back the curtains in his room and saw her there, he angrily snapped them shut. At the breakfast table, Robert asked, "Jackson, where's Eva? Why isn't she at the table? She wasn't here last night either." "Oh, Dad, she doesn't usually eat breakfast, and she went to bed early last night." "Take care of her, Jackson," Robert said sternly. Jackson ignored him and continued eating. After Jackson left, Eva came inside and ran into Robert in the hallway. "Hello, Uncle Robert." "Hello, Eva. How are you? Why aren't you eating? Why didn't you join us?" "I'm sorry, Uncle. I just wasn't hungry, so I went for a walk in the garden." She couldn't bring herself to tell him the truth. She was just grateful to have a roof over her head. "Take care of yourself. I'm heading to the office." "Okay, Uncle. Bye." She went to the kitchen to help Maria, having grown accustomed to eating the scraps that were left over. That night, Eva was sitting in the room when Jackson stumbled in. He was clearly intoxicated. As he struggled to reach the bed, Eva moved to steady him. "Eva," he slurred. "Eva, your hair is so beautiful." "Have you been drinking?" He let out a loud laugh. "Yeah, I have. It's normal for me." Eva looked at him, worried. "Can I get you some water?" "No, just sit here in front of me. I want to look at you." He kept reaching out to touch her face. Eva didn't pull away. He was her husband, after all. "Your eyes are so lovely." He was speaking the truth now because his inhibitions were gone. If he were sober, he would have denied everything. He leaned in and pressed a tender kiss to her forehead, a gesture that sent a wave of peace through Eva's soul. For the first time, Jackson was being kind. Eva began to believe his words were real. He took her hands in his. So beautiful. He traced her lips with his finger. Eva felt like a flower finally blooming in the sun. Jackson drew closer and closer until he pulled her into a deep embrace. Feeling a sweet sense of peace, she didn't resist. She had suffered so much, and it felt like fate was finally showing her mercy. She was convinced Jackson was falling in love with her. She was genuinely happy. But when Jackson woke up the next morning and found Eva's head resting on his chest, he exploded. "How dare you sleep in my bed? How dare you get this close to me?" He shoved her off the bed. He looked at Eva, then at himself, his face contorted with rage. "Why did you get so close to me?" Eva was once again the target of his fury. Before she could say a word, Jackson began slapping her repeatedly. "I told you to stay away from me." He blamed her for everything. "How many times do I have to tell you? Stay away, don't you understand?" He grabbed her by the shoulders and shook her. Eva was devastated. The love she thought she felt last night was nothing but a dream, a sweet dream that vanished at dawn. "Jackson, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? I'll tell you what's wrong," he screamed. "I told you to stay away. You're manipulating me. You're tempting me." He slapped her again until her face was flushed red. Eva couldn't take it anymore. She collapsed at his feet, sobbing. "For God's sake, stop! I'm so tired." That was all she could manage to say. Jackson stormed into the bathroom in a rage. Eva wept for her own helplessness. Her heart was truly shattered this time. The sweetness she had felt was gone. Was that the same Jackson who had felt so close to her just hours ago? They say a woman is foolish enough to fall for a man's kind words, and Eva had made that very mistake. She gathered herself and went to the kitchen, her face still red from the assault. Maria noticed immediately. "Eva, honey, are you okay? What happened?" Eva shook her head and started helping with breakfast. But suddenly she felt dizzy and collapsed. "Eva, are you all right?" "Water, please." Maria quickly poured her a glass and held it to her parched lips. Eva took a breath of relief, but Jackson's words and behavior were a constant, throbbing ache. Suddenly she threw her arms around Maria and sobbed. Just then, Susan entered the kitchen. "Well, look at this. You two have become quite the pair. What is this sisterhood you're practicing? I'd love to know. The kitchen is a mess, and you're busy hugging?" "Ma'am, I think Eva is sick. She needs to rest." "Oh, so now you're going to tell me what to do. If it were up to you, you'd be resting all day too. You're a maid. Act like one. And as for Eva, she's doing the dishes. Don't you dare touch them." "But ma'am, she's not well." "I don't care. I said what I said. Now finish up. Everyone is hungry, and I'm tired of your little drama." Susan barked at them and left. Maria set the table for everyone. "Eva, are you okay?" "I'm not okay today," Eva whispered, finally opening up to Maria. She was trembling, her voice cracking. Maria pulled her close. "Eva, God will never leave your side. Just have faith in him." "Why does this keep happening to me?" Eva cried, finding her only comfort in the arms of the maid. Since Jackson had arrived at the office, he couldn't stop thinking about Eva. He decided he was going to London and he wasn't coming back. He would never have to face her again. He quickly booked his tickets, but fate had one more encounter in store for them. He had to go home to get his passport and some essentials. He was pulling his passport from the drawer when Eva entered the room. He froze for a moment. "Where are you going?" she asked. "You aren't my wife. That's a question a wife asks, and I haven't given you that right. I'm never coming back." Jackson was leaving of his own accord, but a small spark of affection for her had flickered in his heart, and he was running from it as fast as he could. Eva looked at him with pleading eyes, silently begging him to stay, but Jackson was stubborn to a fault. "When will you be back?" she asked, knowing he probably wouldn't answer. "I'm never coming back." "I'll wait for you." "Don't bother. I told you I'm never coming back." "What are you made of? After all the pain I've caused you, you're asking when I'll be back? You should be thanking God that I'm leaving your life, after how much I've humiliated you." Eva's voice was heavy with unshed tears. She asked one more time, "When will you be back?" But the cold-hearted man didn't look back. He walked away to start a new life, leaving her behind forever. After he left, Eva completely fell apart. He had been her only tether to any kind of future. She called out his name, but he didn't even turn around. The pain she felt was suffocating. She couldn't breathe. Her chest felt like lead. She wanted to cry, but the tears wouldn't come. Her throat was tight, and her entire body was shaking, as if a part of her soul had been ripped away. Jackson settled in London, putting Eva completely out of his mind. He set up a new business and spent his days thinking about Madison. He called her every day, inviting her to join him, and did everything she asked. Madison eventually got visas for herself, her cousin, and her brother, all on Jackson's dime. She claimed she would come to London with her family, and then they would get married. Jackson had forgotten his old life entirely, focused only on Madison. But occasionally, Eva's final words would echo in his mind. "When will you be back?" He would shake off the thought and call Madison to feel better. Back home, Eva had become silent and withdrawn. The family's treatment of her remained unchanged. Occasionally, she would go to Robert for comfort, and he would try his best to reassure her. Much had changed since Jackson left. Jackson was entirely unaware that Eva was pregnant. She was carrying his child, but he didn't know and didn't care. Robert and Maria took care of her, ensuring she was eating well. When the physical and emotional pain became too much, she would go to Robert's room. She always asked him the same question. "When is Jackson coming back?" Robert never had an answer. He knew Jackson's stubbornness and knew he intended to marry Madison. He would just stay silent and change the subject. Eventually, Eva stopped hoping. A few months later, she gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. Holding her son in her arms, she forgot all her sorrow. Finally, there was someone connected to her, someone she could love unconditionally. He was her whole world now. "Madison, what are you saying? I did everything for you. You're telling me this cousin is actually your husband? How is that possible?" "That's exactly how it is, Jackson," Madison sneered. "I was only with you for the money. I wanted to use you to get my husband and my brother over here. And now that it's done, what makes you think I'd ever want a man like you? Go back to that so-called cousin of yours back home. Do you understand?" "But Madison, what about my love? My sincerity? This is how you repay me?" "Yes, Jackson. This is exactly what you deserve. If you couldn't even be loyal to your own wife, why would you be loyal to me? I never had any feelings for you. I'm telling you right now, stay away from me, or I'll file a case against you that will have you rotting in a London jail for the rest of your life. Get out." "But we were going to get married, Madison." "Married? My foot. Now are you leaving, or do I have to have you thrown out?" Madison had shown her true colors the moment she arrived in London. Her act of love was a total sham. She was driven by greed, and now that she had what she wanted, she discarded Jackson just as cruelly as he had discarded Eva. Eva sat in her room, talking to her son. Her days revolved entirely around him now, and the family's cruelty no longer reached her. Susan, however, was waiting for the perfect moment to strike, waiting for Robert to be away. When Robert left for an international business trip, Susan saw her chance. She burst into Eva's room in a rage. "Chloe, take the baby," she commanded. "Yes, Mom." Chloe snatched the child from Eva's arms. Susan grabbed Eva by the arm and began dragging her toward the door. "Auntie, what are you doing? Don't take my baby. Please, for the love of God, give me my son." Eva wailed, but Susan was unmoved. She threw Eva out the main gate and told the guards never to let her back in. Eva spent the entire night huddled by the gate, pounding on the door until she eventually collapsed into an exhausted sleep. When she woke up the next morning, she began pleading again. She wasn't going anywhere without her son. Her voice was gone from screaming, so she leaned against the gate, utterly defeated. Suddenly, she felt a touch on her shoulder, the same touch she had felt that night at the hospital. She turned and saw Jackson. He looked broken, a shadow of his former self. "Eva, what are you doing out here?" he asked, his voice cracking. Eva didn't respond. Her heart was empty of love for him, or perhaps she was just in too much shock. "Eva, what happened?" Just then, a guard opened the gate. "Who threw her out of the house?" Jackson demanded. He grabbed Eva's arm and led her inside like a lifeless doll. She remained silent. Susan had thrown her out and told her never to return. For once, Jackson was furious. He had humiliated her, yes, and he had told her to leave, but seeing her treated this way by others was more than he could stand. He pulled her into the main hall and began shouting. "Mom!" he yelled at the top of his lungs. "How could you all do this?" Eva's son was crying loudly in the other room. Eva broke away, ran to Chloe, snatched her son back, and clutched him to her chest. Jackson was stunned. He hadn't known he had a son. He warned everyone that no one was to ever mistreat Eva again. Eva retreated to her room, sobbing as she held her baby. Jackson followed her and sat at her feet. "Eva." She remained silent. You asked me when I'd be back. Well, I'm back. Fate has taken its revenge on me for every wrong I did to you." He began to weep openly. "The truth is, my heart yearns for you, Eva. Please, forgive me." He reached out to touch her feet, begging for mercy. "Jackson, what are you doing? Forgive me. I'm a terrible person, and you're so good. You bore everything with such patience." "I forgive you, Jackson," she said softly. "Just don't take my son away. Don't cast us out. If you do anything like that again, I swear to God, I'll end it all for both of us." "God forbid, Eva. Don't say that. I admit my mistakes, my cruelty." He gently pulled her toward him and embraced both her and his son. "Don't worry. I'm here now. I won't let anything happen to you ever again." Exhausted, Eva finally leaned into his touch, her hand finding its place in his.